Hello. Hopefully you can hear me and not my cat playing in the background. So that works. Um. All right. I think you can hear me. Yes. There we go. So, uh, we saw Endgame together. This is my fiance Izzy.
Hello.
Hopefully the chat quality is good. Uh, Apparently it's the stream health is not. Oh boy, that's unsupported resolution. You need to change the video resolution. What? That stream offline.
Hmm.
Okay, well fine. Get out of the chair.
What else?
Uh, Three, two, one. Sorry about that. Let me know if you guys can hear me. It did.
Why does it do that?
Well, that's good. Um, Apparently the. Can you guys hear me? Yes? Okay, cool. Sorry. The YouTube is stupid. Alright, so we're gonna actually do a good introduction now. Thank you everybody for sticking with us. I'm Cody. This is my fiance Izzy. We saw Avengers Endgame, and it was really good. Um, and since it's been a week since the movie came out, that's usually the time that people start actually saying spoilers outright. Um, and we can discuss the actual aftermath of Endgame, but none of that MCU, like what's the fate of the MCU, anything like that. We don't give a shit about that. We don't care.
No, not
No,
really.
I'm done with Marvel after this. But what we do care about is the real world aftermath. Um, so I'm guessing you can figure that there will be spoilers in this. And spoiler, everybody comes back. What a shock. Oh boy. Um, and that's what we're going to discuss. What if, half the world population did get snapped, but then also 5 years later, half of the world population just comes back?
Because that's a problem.
That's going to be some
A shit show.
ramifications. Oh boy. As soon as I saw that in the theater, I was like, oh, that's not going to be good.
No.
No.
Especially since they showed the houses that were empty. They showed the cars rusting out on the corners. And when they showed all of that, I was like, oh, that ain't good. That's not gonna be fun.
Yeah, I thought that they were going to like either go back like right before Thanos snapped or something, so it wouldn't be such a ramification. But I guess now that's a permanent part of the MCU is everybody just remembers when half of the world died and then they randomly came back. So that's dark. But to start it off with, um, so my last video, I talked about how half of the plants would have been snapped too. Apparently, Kevin Feige then, like, recently came out or something and said, like, he wasn't thinking straight when he said that. So it looks like half of the plants weren't snapped, but that still leaves half of the animals and
Yeah.
half of the people.
So you have half the people and half the animals, which is still a huge devastation to the world. It's just
Yeah.
astounding.
All right, so let's get into it. So, let's go in this alternate scenario where, you know, half of everyone dies, of everyone comes back. Uh, you would have the world that would pretty much be in chaos, just like in my video. Society would have basically collapsed. There would have fell into a police state because of the riots. Money would have become useless, and you would have had half of all life. Like you would have had half of the cows and half of the livestock pretty much wiped out. Um, then after 5 years, I think that there would have been a little bit of an adjustment. People could. It still would have been anarchy and panic, but I think people could have slowly adapted to this new world, and then just as people are slowly adapting to this new world, everyone comes back.
So you'll have farmers who are, learning. Obviously, you saw Pepper in the movie, learning about composting. So you would have all those things, but like the huge farmers that were, had those huge farms,
Yeah.
just disappeared, and then now they just came back. Their crops are gone. Like no one's out there.
The soil is actually, it completely destroys agricultural farming because you go 5 years that the fields just aren't toiled.
Yeah, and on top of that, we genetically, change our seeds so often.
Yeah.
That kind of just destroys the years of progress that agriculture had made to make these thick crops, such as corn.
These thick crops.
Yeah.
Thick. They gotta be thick. I'm half checking the chat to make sure that the internet doesn't die.
Yeah,
So
I'm terrified.
That's half of my attention.
I've never done this, and I'm like, oh my god, no.
Yeah. That's a good old spectrum.
Oh, someone said something good. Stomach bacteria.
Yeah. Okay. So, I think that's a good. We could talk about the freaking bacteria
Since I was so mad that you didn't incorporate that in your video.
All right. So, since we're gonna be assuming that half of plant life wasn't wiped out, half of bacteria probably wouldn't be wiped out either. But if we're going to assume that trees were wiped out, this is the best time to actually talk about if half of bacteria were basically destroyed. I tried to do the research on that. I was seeing like, what if you basically lost half of the bacteria in your body? What type of long-term ramifications would that be? And the reason I didn't include it in the video was because they said that bacteria would pretty much just multiply to the amount that it was back to normal in 3 days. For regular people, if you had a healthy amount of bacteria and your body could regenerate that, it would be able to regenerate.
Yeah, but if you're not healthy.
Yes, so that's where
I come in, because I'm not healthy, and I actually had all my bacteria from my stomach completely gone. And so I was sick for 3 years, and that was a pain in the ass. But that's why I thought it was important to bring it up in the conversation, because bacteria does play a big part in all of civilization.
She watched my video, and I immediately got a text that was, "I hate you. Why didn't you include the bacteria?" And then I got like thousands of other people also say that too. So that was a tough few days.
But then someone brought it up a good point, because when you said that, bacteria is multiply, what if the people who ye snapped also snapped that bacteria? Then maybe half the bacteria was already snapped. So maybe the people who are on Earth who didn't get snapped didn't get anything snapped out of them.
That couldn't be. I mean, I think that could work.
Yeah.
All right, but going back to our scenario, enough trees, enough bacteria. So just from the one thing that they said in Endgame, Spider-Man said that they didn't actually like feel the snap or anything. They just thought that they passed out.
Mm-hmm.
So imagine if you were one of the half that was actually snapped. If you're just going about your day, and then you think you're like falling asleep or something, and then it would be instant. It would be an instant. All of your surroundings completely changed.
Oh.
I was driving today, and I was thinking, what if I actually did, like, the snap happened right now, and then I'd basically wake up, and all the houses around me would be pretty much just destroyed, run down. My car would be, I don't even know if my car would even still be there. Like, how does that even work if you snap and you're actually in something?
Yeah, like if you're in a plane, they showed planes going down and
Yeah.
helicopters. What if you like snap and you're like in the ruins of the plane and you're like, oh fuck?
Because I said that in the last video. I said if you're the pilots and they got snapped, does that mean that you basically would you appear in the middle of...
And
This isn't even real world implications. This is just really nitpicking it right now.
But think about it. Like, what if you weren't one of those people that got snapped and you were just saw the person next to you gone and you're on an airplane and you're like, well, I'm dead. And then the snap, you know, we get 5 years later and that person's like, oh, I caused that person's death, yo.
Or like you're on a plane and you're like, say you're with your family or something, you get snapped, they don't, the plane goes down, and you basically just even if you get like snapped and you just appear on like the land or something, you're
like,
not thousands of feet up in the sky and then just plummet randomly.
Like Hunger Games.
Your family's still dead.
Yeah, you're literally playing in the field of the dead people.
I'm just thinking of all the really kind of fucked up comedic moments that would be.
Dark humor, yo.
Yeah, but
I'm thinking, oh my god, like.
Yeah, but going into actual serious ramifications, it's been 5 years, and so you have the people who weren't snapped. They're pretty much just going on their lives. What?
People are commenting some really funny stuff.
Oh. So people are pretty much just moving on with their lives. They assume that the people that got snapped are dead. And then they randomly come back. And so, yeah, from a standpoint that half of the world population isn't dead anymore, that's good. But that still doesn't mean that the people who are, alive now, it doesn't mean they can get their life back to normal.
Yeah, because, I mean...
Everyone moved on.
And some people didn't, and that's the problem when I'm thinking, because as soon as I watched Endgame, I thought about all the moments where people are so broken after seeing their loved ones disappear and their friends disappear that they commit suicide. So you come home to possible empty houses because so many people would have probably killed themselves as well. Or just couldn't, face the facts and they had to move away. Like, what if your loved one, came back and you weren't even living in the same state? Which is kind of weird.
Yeah.
Because we're going to be moving. And so it just kind of feels weird. Like, what if they wouldn't know? You wouldn't know.
Yeah, I mean, I wonder if, would your phone service even work anymore if you get snapped? You technically wouldn't be paying it.
They did, at the end of Endgame, remember, Hawkeye's wife called him, which is a miracle that he even had the number.
Was he just paying for her cell phone service the whole time?
Exactly. Like,
he was on the family plan.
Yeah, so I might as well just keep her on and the whole family on.
Yeah.
Well, implication of money being real, I didn't understand that. How all that technology can still be running.
Well,
freaking Fortnite. Yeah.
Yeah, well, actually...
It just threw me off.
Sorry, my voice is... Wow. My voice is actually going a little bit.
Oh, don't.
Yes, just a little pat. That's good.
I pat you.
But... Oh, give me that water. Oh, I have water. There we go.
Oh, look. Life-saving water. What if water bottles had existed?
I'm not used to speaking more than 5 times a day, so this works.
Home phones, yes.
Yeah. What were we saying? Oh yeah, Thor and Fortnite. Well, if that's actually one of the things that kind of seems realistic for me. You know why?
Why?
I'm gonna explain it.
Please explain.
Because I know the writers didn't even think about this when they said that. It's probably just because Epic and Disney have that deal that they promote Avengers or something. But yeah, think if the entire economy collapsed, everything like that happened, electricity probably wouldn't even be working.
Very limited. I would feel like it's very controlled.
Very limited. And if it was working, there still probably would be people playing games, but there definitely wouldn't be anybody developing games.
Yeah.
I don't know.
So that
maybe.
okay, so that
Maybe.
on that would be the last game ever created.
Yeah.
Oh
Oh
god.
god. Yeah. That'd be the legacy of video games. It just
We just
Fortnite.
maxed out at Fortnite.
For some reason, all other video games are just gone, but Epic servers are still around. Like
Oh my
that's what the
goodness.
MCU is apparently telling us.
I wouldn't be playing Fortnite. I'd be playing like Minecraft.
Xbox Live is still on.
Escape.
Yeah. Escape. Oh no, I made everything overrun.
Yeah.
The reality's coming back to me. Half of your villagers just die from mobs,
And then you
just
start having like
just
PTSD.
go
like,
into
you're
PTSD.
You're like,
Vietnam
oh my god.
flashbacks. Yeah. I forgot what we were talking about, and that's fine. Oh yeah. But yeah. Anyway, for the people who actually did get snapped, when they come back, their lives are essentially like over. It's worse than a vet coming back from war, because they don't have the jobs that they did have, the stable income that they did have. The jobs could have easily went under because the economy collapsed. Their career could be completely useless because
This is where I would see like the government really taking control, doing, minimizing damage and everything, forcing people to have jobs and creating jobs purposely there. I could see like a very weird, like, we already talked about a police state, but this is more of like,
you could have kind of like a New Deal sort of thing.
like you're being forced to do this. Like, this is your new job. You're now a printer.
It'd be
like,
the government rehabilitation to life program.
But that's where I see like the government really stepping in and be like, nope, we need you here, we need you here, we need this, and like to start rebuilding.
But that'd only be on like the first world nations that were able to have that police state in the first place. And
in other places that are, not as civil, oh god, that's awful to say. You know what I mean? Like industrialized.
Developed.
That's the word. I was blanking. Thank you. Developed with industries and everything like that. It'd be easier to come back because
I don't think it would be.
Why?
Because you gotta think, because I said that in the video, they were food insecure nations, which is that's what the World Health Organization calls it.
Yeah.
It's nations that pretty much are dependent on foreign aid because they can't create the food themselves with the population that they have. So these nations would have pretty much starved.
I didn't mean it. Okay, guys, don't say it like that. I'm not used to this. Don't make.
So those nations would have basically starved. Like most of them would probably have starved in the last 5 years. And then, half of the people come back.
Mr. Pablo comes back.
So,
he's like, Mom.
Best case scenario is that the world starts giving them food aid 5 years later. Worst case scenario is the world is still focused on themselves. And, you have like 50% of or 50 or 75% of the people just starve to death in those 5 years. And they still don't have food. And then the people who got snapped come back, and now they don't have food because their food sources are basically already destroyed. So then they're just in a horrible position too.
Thanks, babe. You just made me super depressed.
Oh, we didn't even talk about the babies yet.
Oh, I know. Don't get... Okay. So, backstory. A lot of shows and books have already done something where, mass population disappeared and came back. These 3 shows and a book is the things that I have read and watched. The Gone series by Michael Grant. It's an 8-book series. It's for teens, obviously. I was a teenager when I read them. Everybody 15 and older disappeared in this town.
Yeah.
So that's a really good book series, actually. When I was a teenager, that was, like, super big.
Yeah.
HBO recently had a show called The Leftovers, where they had 140 million people disappear. And it just showed, like, the implications of that and, people who were left over, having fights, going into cults, trying to figure out where they belong, how to live on.
Yeah.
Another recent show back that just came out in 2018 on NBC is Manifest, where a plane disappeared and then 5 years later it just reappeared, and it showed all the implications for those 55 passengers, what they were going to be doing, and I love all of those. Actually, I really enjoy them. Manifest really got me going, saying like a guy came back right to his family and found out his best friend married his wife, like they were getting together.
Yeah.
They were, engaged and everything, and she couldn't tell him, and
Yeah.
it was drama.
That's a good segue into our next fun thing with the MCU, mass suicides. Oh boy. Yeah. So yeah, pretty much that would be, the people that do come back. Yes, they're technically alive, thanks Hulk, but their lives are basically over. Everyone's moved on without them. They have no job, no livelihood at all. Everything's been completely uprooted. And yeah, if you did, especially if you had situations like your loved one pretty much just assumed you were dead and they moved on without you, just mass suicides right off the bat. You just have mass suicides. The crime rate would skyrocket because nobody has money anymore, even if the economy did recover. Now,
the people who came back don't have money.
Yeah, you just have mass homelessness, mass unemployment. I mean, you probably just have a bunch of, what's it called? People that don't own the houses, but they squatters.
Oh, squatters.
Yeah, you'd have a lot of squatters. I mean,
my brother.
I mean, you probably have houses that were just abandoned. So it wouldn't be that big of a deal. But still.
What if you came back and you came to your house and somebody else was living in there? All your stuff that you had accumulated before that just completely gone.
Mm-hmm.
Which, I mean, material things are not, shouldn't be important to us, but they kind of are. Like, maybe you had your favorite game in there, or, to me, I have a really special rosary that I have up. And, what if somebody just took it? I feel like something got stolen from me. My memories, my past.
I think the family moving on and everything is a lot worse.
It's just that too. I can't imagine. We were talking about this last week. If one of us, Cody or I, just disappeared, how would we do this? How would we live on? And the struggles. What if I, met somebody else and then Cody just came back? How would I do that? How would I react to it? And
or if I just,
it was, it's depressing.
I just moved to a different country.
You just go to Britain.
Oh, I'd freaking live. I'd leave Ohio. This place would become a shit show if that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Move to
Vice
Canada.
Versa too.
I'd probably move to Canada. Try to. It's dense. It's low populated. It's super far away from every. I mean.
And then on top of it, if you lived and I disappeared and then came back, I'd be 24 and you'd be 29. Whole different age group. You might wanted a kid at 25, and so.
Yeah, so that's I completely forgot about the age difference thing. Yeah,
the age difference is really different.
Yeah, entire stages of lives are pretty much gone. Which I hope. I mean, this is the only time I'm going to mention MCU. But hopefully they bring that up in the Spider-Man movie.
Yeah,
that would be assuming half of Spider-Man's class got snapped, including him. The ones that didn't are now in college.
That's why I kind of I know we already saw the trailer for it, and MJ's the same age as everybody else. But it would have been really effed up if MJ turned 20. How old was they? Be 17.
Yeah. I think they'd it'd be if they had a Liz. His love interest in the first movie.
Yeah.
She was older. Because it's what? It's been
5 years.
It's been
He was 16, yeah.
He wasn't 16.
He wasn't 16? 15?
He's 22.
No.
Oh, in real life.
The
he was 16. Yeah. Man, we said that we wouldn't discuss MCU stuff.
It happens.
Look what you've done. Only prediction I'm gonna have is I'm gonna say the whole Mysterio thing is probably he's gonna say that he's a creation from everyone coming back and all the weird cosmic shit that's happening. He's
I completely
I'm the result
forgot who was the bad guy in that. Okay.
Yeah, there you go.
Now.
But anyway, yeah, but the age difference and you have people just now on completely different stages of their lives. God, I would hate to be anybody in bureaucracy because you got to think of all the life insurance. But I mean, insurance is basically just gone now.
Which, that's a cool thing from Manifest. For instance, the husband disappeared. He was on the plane, and then he came back, and she got life insurance. The wife got life insurance for her husband being gone.
Yeah.
And that literally saved them from going under, and so she got to keep the house. When he came back, the insurance company sued her for the $1.5 million that she got.
Yeah.
And so, just
I can't imagine.
I wouldn't see insurance issues happening this big.
Insurance companies would probably go bottom up.
Small, yeah, that's absolutely realistic.
You could have people fake frauds. You could have them basically say, "Hey, I was snapped during that," or like, somebody that I knew was snapped. Can I have that thing or anything like that? Like, that's a little. I mean, look, this is under the assumption that there is any semblance of society after this happens. Very true. And all of the stuff that we're saying is pretty much just for first world nations that fell into an authoritarian
and even then,
state.
like smaller things, because like I said, Manifest only had like 53 people missing. On Leftovers, they created a cult, which I thought was really interesting because, you would be very cynical. You would be very like, I'm religious, and so I could see being very angry that the rapture happened and I didn't get up. Like, I wasn't chosen.
I try to...
I'd be cynical.
I tried to mention that, but also I was kind of like, I don't want this shit show happening for that. Speaking of religions, do you think there could be a lot of interesting, weird cults that come from this? There'd be a cult that, like, worships Thanos.
Oh, definitely.
There could be, like, a death cult. There could be a cult that if any of the news came out about, like, somebody bringing them back, there'd be, like, a cult, basically, being like, you saved us. Or
Spaghetti monster,
Yes.
And then isn't that thing?
Flying spaghetti monster.
Yeah. Is gonna bring them all back.
But that'd be it'd really be just a mass societal PTSD from both. Like that's the thing about I know it's a Marvel movie, it's a comic movie. It's supposed to be the whole resolution. Everything's gonna be fine and hunky dory from now on. But honestly, this would just be both events of people being snapped and then being brought back. It's kind of like you should have just left people dead. Because now people are pretty much just empty husks. It's like in Game of Thrones when the witch like says this is life when she points to Khal Drogo. And Khal Drogo's like basically just dead. Like he's lost everything. And it's like, what's life when you've lost everything?
That's kind of how I feel like my dad feels like.
Oh, that's But
hey.
Yeah, I know. But stream. It's true. No, but that's the thing. It is like that. It's like if you've lost everything, you pretty much have why be alive.
And then as weird as it sounds, like people spread memories. They talk about the past. That's so important to us. Mm-hmm. Having people disappear, you lose part of yourself, not just by like that, but by the memories you share, by the past you had. It takes a lot of mental out of you.
You'd have idealized versions of those people.
Yeah. And when they come back, they're the same age. They don't know you anymore. You changed.
And also because that's a lot of things, like it's like, if you haven't seen somebody in so long, or if you have, I mean, honestly, I hate everybody, so I don't have an idealized version of anybody, but there's that sort of phenomenon in, like, with people who've dated an ex and it went horribly, or they got dumped or something like that, and those people basically put that idealized version of that person, and they like completely forget the flaws and everything like that. And it's just, a lot of people, when they do come back to life, they're not gonna live up to the expectations of the people that remembered them, which is really messed up.
Hashtag depressing.
Yeah, this is a Marvel movie. It's fun. It's very good that they don't talk about this
Yeah,
stuff.
this is
That
like
we're not saying like they should focus on this and make it like the Joker movie or some shit. Make it like an art house film of a guy trying to live his life after the snap.
I can get it just a little bit darker. So another book series that I read, Gone. It had the little kids basically having fun eating all the candy, and then a week later they needed to eat real food, so they started scavenging through the houses. After this, it was like 12 days after everybody was gone, and when they started going into these empty houses looking for food, so the parents were snapped but not the babies. So a bunch of kids, imagine 12-year-olds going and smelling things and realizing it's dead babies. Just imagine like parents zapping out, but maybe not all their kids.
Yeah.
You have kids who are 2, 3, people who can't,
Oh, God.
they're little people. They don't know how to feed themselves necessarily. They don't know how to go into refrigerators. Babies certainly don't.
Or you want to get darker? I can get darker.
You can get darker than dead babies.
What if their babies don't like die? What if their kids get like kidnapped or something? Or like their kids basically like have to live out on the street?
No, dead babies is the worst.
Dead babies?
Dead babies are the worst.
I mean, like, they're old enough to, like, care for themselves, or they're, like, teens or something.
Yeah, and they showed the little boy on a bike.
Yeah.
So you don't know if he's homeless or not, or, experiencing struggles like that.
Yeah. Okay, maybe that's not as dark as
no,
nothing's as dark as dead babies.
Dead babies is the darkest.
But also that'd be messed up for a parent, like basically like they
what
don't have a chance they don't have a chance to raise their kid right or raise their kid at all.
Or at all. I'm about to say, I was like, what if nobody touched your house? I'm sorry. I just read, oh God, Izzy. That's kind of funny. What if
Please don't demonetize us, YouTube.
Yeah, we're not advocating for dead babies. Oh God. Anyways, what if like you got snapped, right? You were in your house, you heard your baby and you went in there and you just disappeared. Yeah. And then you come back in your house, nobody's been in your house. It's you have broken windows, you have plants growing, you have everything, and then like you turn around and you just see a skeleton.
Yeah.
That's part of the reason why I think I would commit suicide.
I like how
this is just Dawn.
I like how this stream isn't even about like real world, like, well, it is about real world, but it's not about like the large scale implications. It's just a really fucked up horror stories for people individually, which really that'd be for most people it'd be.
The first book was good, by the way.
Oh, okay.
It gets kind of crappy at the end. As a teenager.
Isn't that most teenage books though? It's first book's a good idea and goes down. But anyway, Matt, yeah, so it'd be just this worldwide PTSD.
Yeah.
And that would then reflect itself in the crime rate and the economy, mass unemployment.
So you unsnapped everybody from the first, but it doesn't bring back the people
that died.
Who died because of that. Car accidents, plane crashes, nuclear. How does nuclear fusion, how did anybody keep a nuclear reactor from not boiling over? I'm still kind of confused by that.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know, honestly, people obviously who know nuclear fission will still be alive.
That would probably be the first objective for any semblance of a government.
Back in your video, you talked about Palestine, the conflict with the.
No, I talked about Pakistan.
Pakistan, okay, yeah. Pakistan.
That's a whole other bag. That's a whole other bag of worms.
Yeah, I'm thinking what if you went and it's just nuclear holocaust? It's literally radiation. You just zapped back into nuclear radiation, and you're just like, yep, I'm dead.
Yeah, you just and everything that is pretty much just destroyed. But yeah, that's kind of or if you lived on an island nation and you come back and everyone either starved to death or they just fled.
Yeah.
Because nobody would be able to, international trade would just completely break down.
R.I.P. Hawaii, Indonesia.
Yeah. That's why I kind of think if this was an actual realistic scenario, I don't think they would say we need to bring people back from the dead, because if we're going to go in a really nitpicky thing, which doesn't even reflect anything in the MCU or anything. It's a comic book movie. Of course, they're not going to do that. You got to have that nice resolution. But really, if you're kind of a smart person in this situation, you'd be like, okay, it's too late now to bring everyone back.
Yeah.
Because that's just going to open up this whole new can of worms.
And we talked about starvation and all of that, but with animals coming back,
Yeah.
you know, we could just be hunters. You know,
Well,
I have a bow, I have a gun. I could probably get myself a bunny.
I mean, we can because we live in, you know, relatively rural. We live in kind of more of a rural area. 80% of the United States is in
True.
those cities. Is in those urban areas. So the people that do get snapped back,
Thank God I'm not in a city.
pretty much like assuming resources even are, you know, if there isn't even is industry or food is being produced again or anything like that, they're basically just stuck to square one to what people were post snap. So now you pretty much have the other part of the population now is pretty much this is a whole new experience for them and the horror, and then everyone who just, you know, everyone from 5 years ago, they're just like, first time in this hellhole. Yeah, thanks Avengers, you sure did avenge us.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah. I'm gonna go put a bullet in my brain.
Not yet. Wait until I disappear.
That's the, oh man, I'm just imagining the edgy memes. Somebody just like, and that would be Reddit during, if the snap happened, there'd just be edgy memes like, oh boy, an excuse to
Kill myself. Yes.
Oh boy. But yeah, that I mean, that's the thing. That's why you can't really make a video about it, because it really is just about subjective.
Exactly. What would you do?
It's like, hey, think of the really messed up thing that would happen, and it would all completely. This whole scenario depends on if they even did, like, the best case scenario, if there was a dictator state in like every first world nation. I mean, if it didn't descend into civil war, if there wasn't mass famine, if the U.S. didn't balkanize into a bunch of mini nations. I mean, if currency didn't become like cigarettes or something like that. Like, if the worse that the situation gets, the worse off it is for anybody snapped back. And they will not, most of them would not be able to adapt to this new world at all. I mean, and most countries wouldn't have the resources, assuming they did adapt to, you know, half of the population being killed. Most of them couldn't make that switch onto now double the world population, you know, the world population doubling. I suck at talking, but you know what I'm saying.
I suck at talking too, but
we both suck at
I
talking.
feel like
when we're doing a live stream, why not?
There would be, I think there would be
nothing makes sense.
Solid 10 years of trying to fix.
I think this would be at least a century.
A century?
You have
going back a century.
You have civil wars in Africa that last 30, 40 years, all because of just the borders being drawn wrong. You know, like, I think that the
world has never been at peace, so I don't think.
Well, this is the safest. This is the most stable that the world's ever been. So I think that the legacy of the snap will be, you pretty much have this era of peace for the world, and then there's just this 5 years of chaos, and then there's even more years after everybody has to try to adjust themselves. That's going to be a trauma that's going to span generations. That's going to completely transform ideologies.
I mean, true.
And then you have to also think, nobody for the rest of, you know, all of these descendants are going to think, what if this happens again? That's now the permanent thing that scars everyone. And
it's always in the front of our minds, constantly like, I got my loved one now, but how long are they gonna last?
Or even like, are you gonna have kids? Like, why would you have kids if you fear that there's going to be? Because even if they do explain,
you don't want to be attached to something.
Yeah, like, even if they do explain, like, oh, this big purple man came down and he snapped everyone, that's what caused it. That's even more horrifying of an explanation, because it's like
the universe is so huge. There can't not be another Thanos.
Because it's like for us, we're like, yeah, Marvel, Marvel Cosmos, that's like really cool. But if that was actually real, everyone would be like, oh, Marvel.
You can go and collect the stones again. Like,
Yeah.
you could do this again. That's the most terrifying thing.
I mean,
It would be really,
man,
really hard.
Man, wait until people find out about Galactus. That'll be fun.
Fun.
Guess what? There's another big purple guy, but instead of snapping, he's gonna just eat your fucking planet. Deal with that, kiddies.
Like Dormammu?
Dormammu was.
He was Destroyer Worlds too, though.
Yeah, but his was the dark dimension.
Oh my god.
The dark dimension.
I love Doctor Strange.
Wizard Man.
The names for these things.
So the real world implicate, like, nobody would ever really. There'd just be this apathy, this general apathy. Yeah. For all cultures.
Oh god.
And that's what the Avengers avenged.
Do you think religion would stay? Like, if half?
I think it depends on the person. I think if somebody was already religious, they would become.
You would have two probably branches. Like,
yeah, you'd have people either become super religious or you'd have people just completely lose their faith.
Cynical.
And I think the opposite would happen too, because you'd have, if people did come back, then that would make some people super religious.
Oh yeah, you'll think of all the stories.
Really,
you'll have so many 90 minutes in heaven, or God is real. You have all those stories of people swearing up and down that they saw God, and they would have all these stories about things. Because
you'd have so many like fake prophets.
Oh yeah,
and people are basically like, I saw what it was, and you gotta believe me. Sans Ventura. Sorry, I haven't been looking at the super chats, but he says Kevin Feige is dumb. Thanos' plan makes no sense if he included cattle and plant life. It's literally just making the same problem smaller. Kevin Feige came out and he said that he wasn't thinking during it. You gotta think the guy's basically doing so many interviews. I think that animals are still snapped though.
Yeah.
Plants just weren't.
And they kind of like hinted at that because of the birds on the tree.
So the only thing that doesn't change is there's no global warming. That would be the only thing that I would change from the video is that global warming doesn't happen. But you'd still have those animals go extinct, and even if you did bring back half of those animals, there's still significantly less of them. Yeah,
you don't know how many they zapped out. They could have zapped out, 95% male and only 5% women, or vice versa. Yeah. Populations are so fickle, especially in our society right now.
I was having a discussion with Tiger Star, and I was like, how do we judge which 50%? Like, there is that like 90% of males or 10% females.
Yeah, and
or you could have
random.
Or you could have like with Asia. Asia's like half of the world population. You could just have all. You could have like all of Asia be snapped, or you could have the rest of the world just be snapped, and Asia is safe. But it was like it's just easier for everybody if you just make it like, okay, let's just say half of every country's population is snapped. That makes it easier. But yeah, I think that's kind of.
Oh, China's gone. It just makes me giggle. I don't know why. Just imagining. Oh, like, oh my god.
No but
more
yeah,
hentai.
I think that's really. You think we got it out of our system?
Did we get it out of our system?
I don't know. It feels like there's still so much more.
Dead babies. We hit it at dead babies.
We hit it at dead babies.
Yeah. But no, like.
I'd hit dead babies.
Oh no, babe, don't say that.
Oh boy, somebody's gonna just take that out of context.
Oh yeah, they are.
Oh, frick.
What?
Video output low. 1 sec.
No.
Read the super chats.
Super chat.
One sec. Video up. Can you hear me?
There's a lot of Fs. There's a lot of Fs.
One sec. One sec. One sec. Oh, is it fine? Okay. Okay, there we go. Now it's back to normal. It's always this computer. Well, it's always I don't know. It's my internet's just not good for live streaming.
You need to destroy the computer and get another one.
Yeah,
just
I gotta destroy it.
it.
All right, so before my thing dies again, I guess we'll just wrap it up with the super chats, which I will do. So, I'll say, I guess we'll just go through them. Thanks, Crate. Don't take nothing from nobody. Calmu, the Maestro asks, wouldn't there not be enough resources afterwards?
Oh, that's a good question.
Well, yeah, that's what I was saying is that the production and industry is basically destroyed.
Yeah.
There's no capitalism and the whole global economy pretty much just shuts down. So then you have the entire global economy pretty much destroyed, or at least trying to recover, and then the population doubles again.
Yeah. So definitely starvation. We would definitely be fighting for resources.
Yeah, mass unemployment.
A lot of people wouldn't know what to be doing anyways. So you would be having a lot of people fighting, and that's why we talked about people going into gangs and crime rate would double and all that fun stuff. Yeah,
that would be it. Tiger Star. Hi, Tiger Star.
Yo.
He says, "Let us salute Steve Rogers' ass." Steve Rogers, the ass of America.
That's America's ass.
That's America's ass. There you go. Flying Falcon. Who is this Izzy person? So I said it earlier, but Izzy is my fiance.
Hola, ¿cómo estás? I am Izzy.
Someone in the chat said Izzy's better than Cody. It's true.
Nah, we're equal.
Hey, aren't we saps?
Equality.
Mega Killer says the Hulk dabbed. He
did it?
He did do that.
When did he do that?
It was a
you uncivilized people.
It was
Stop bringing that up.
It was a moment of clarity for all of us.
Yes, Jimmy is gone.
Yeah,
sorry.
Miklos said, "What if it happened in 1939?" Ooh. No, but I'm not gonna answer that.
Oh,
no,
that's a hard question.
That's a whole can of worms. It's something to think about though. Hunk, what happened to Jimmy? Was he snapped? Yes, he was, and he wasn't brought back because nobody cares about Jimmy, not even Hulk. Thanks NPC.
No, French.
I'm not answering that other one.
Is it culture appropriation if I'm talking in the language that I'm from? I'm Puerto Rican, people.
Yeah, she's Puerto Rican. So shut up, all of you. Zimzam. What if Thanos gave half the universe? Oh, okay. Oh, I was walking off a cliff on that one. Thanks for that, though. I'm sure you're proud. Taylor Avalos. How does Fortnite still exist? Oh, yeah, we answered that.
Yeah, we answered that one.
That guy. What about people who were snapped mid-flight? Oh yeah, we mentioned that. They're
gone.
They're either like in the middle of on the ground, or in the ocean and drowning, or they just are falling to their death. That's the most likely one. They just fall to their death. Deep dish pizza, sanguine deep dish pizza isn't real pizza. That's degenerate, and you should feel bad about yourself.
Uncivilized.
Maid B. Jacobson, what if you came back and you have missed your child was growing up?
Oh my god, that's so heartbreaking. Oh my god, I want to cry.
Yeah,
luckily we don't have kids, so I guess it's kind of like but
it's positive.
My niece.
Yeah, you come back in Marcella's.
If my niece is 5 years, I just miss her going to preschool. I missed all those.
That's actually kind of what happened with Ant-Man.
Yeah, it is exactly what happened to Ant-Man.
His girl, she was super tiny, and now she's
A teenager.
Yeah.
That's heartbreaking. I don't want to think about it.
JER realized if Thanos doubled all resources, he doubles all celestial bodies and increases the chance of our and other planets to get hit by rogue objects. Sure, why not?
Yep.
Yeah, let's just go with that.
Eventually, Earth will, get hit.
Idols
will reemerge.
Idols Elohim says, would this result in Soylent Green? I think this would result in a lot of cats being eaten.
Oh, poor cat.
A lot of cats and dogs.
Bye, Luna.
We're gonna go full.
Oh, she's sleeping.
Gonna go full Venezuela on this.
You.
Highlander says, thanks for your donation. Thanos should have snapped half of the dominant species on the planet. Love your channel, especially the ones about nuclear war. You could say nuclear winter is coming. Oh, actually, I'm so
like you too, dude.
Yeah. So speaking of nuclear stuff, my next video is going to be if nuclear weapons were never invented, and I know you hate me for doing that, but
we will be getting Rome Part 3.
Yeah, she's mad at me about that.
Very soon.
Yeah, she's.
I am a fan of Alternate History Hub. I actually don't like history. I actually hated history, but Cody has somehow got me into it, and now I actually know geography, which is really weird.
Oh shucks. All right, we'll just wrap this up. Get to the 50-minute mark, but
somebody.
Yeah. But yeah. The next video is gonna be about if nukes were not invented and how the 20th century would be, and it's just like this, not very fun at all. And then R2B2, do fetuses get snapped?
They are live.
Yeah, so I mean, they even if people. I'm not getting into a last minute.
Yeah, how would you How would you zap a chick? I mean, that is true. I mean, you could zap a pregnant chick.
You know what I just thought? It all depends on if Thanos is pro-life or pro-choice. That's how you would determine if the fetus gets snapped.
That's the only way.
If Thanos yeetus the fetus, that would be. Oh god, that'd be so messed up. Because if he was do
10 Hail Marys after this.
If he was pro-life, does that mean there's just women that just randomly get pregnant again?
Oh my god! Oh my god! I don't know.
There's so many disturbing memes.
What if you didn't know if you were pregnant? It just spontaneous. You would be
You get re-pregnant.
You got re-pregnant. Oh my god.
The boyfriend's like, "Are you pregnant?" And it's and
she's like, "I swear it's your baby."
I swear it's your. You know what? I think that's a good way to end it.
I think he's pro-choice since he killed his own kid. Oh yeah. Then he eats the fetus.
He said, "I'm sorry, little one," and then
he still did it though. So
yeah,
he's pro-choice.
He coat hanged Gamora right off that cliff.
No, he didn't. He did not coat hanger.
He
pushed her down the stairs like a normal adult male does to their women.
Man, this is going right off the edge. All right, well, that's a good way to go end it. Jeez. And we thought we wouldn't have anything to talk about. We just get really disturbing.
We can go darker.
Please demonetize me, Susan. It will be great. It'll just be fantastic.
Who's Susan?
CEO of YouTube.
Oh.
So yeah, that's how we're gonna end it. New video is gonna be out this week, and this is Izzy, and
he's pointing to me.
Yes.
As if you guys can see us.
Mics have cameras.
Oh.
No, they don't.
I'm about to say, I do not look good.
Yep.
This is not needed.
All right. Well, I am Cody.
And I am Izzy.
And this was certainly an experience. I'll see you.